Hannah here, welcome to today's video. So recently I got my certificate for Microsoft AZ900 exam and I really studied very hard for this exam and I passed. And that brings me to the topic of how to learn technical things. The most basic ground we can now agree on is that programming is not like biology. If you're joining me for the first time, you're welcome to the channel. Please do also subscribe to the channel and let's get rolling. Today I'm in the beautiful city of Kinshasa, where I'll be here for probably 3 weeks because I'm here on a business trip and we are here to do some work. So it's not so much of a luxury, but I'm glad I'm here. As I was preparing to write my Microsoft exam, a lot of things came to mind about how people approach the idea of learning a technical skill, especially when they're learning a programming language for the very first time, or even a new programming language. You get to realize that just because you've watched like 2-hour video on a programming language doesn't necessarily mean that you can code very well in that language. And this is because for the most part, programming is not biology, where you have like a big book that you have to go through and you are like, okay, programming, your skills is just as important as your knowledge about the subject. So I'm going to be sharing with you some tips that helped me in learning any programming language at all, especially when I was beginning to learn React or JavaScript, and these are the things that helped me, and even some tips that I have gotten to know about in my field of work in software development. So I'm going to be a little biased here and make my first point a question, and that is, what are you looking for? At the end of the day, what is your main goal that you are trying to achieve? Are you just trying to learn that skill for the sake of just knowing about it, or you are actually learning to put it into use? But if you are just approaching it to just know about it, reading about it, or watching video tutorials may just about be enough for you. Coming back to the point of whether you are learning it to actually apply it in your field of work brings me to point number 2, and that is that everybody starts from zero. So when you are approaching a new programming language for the very first time, I always prefer the idea that I don't read like little bits of it before I actually make up my mind to really learn the language. One mistake that I made when I was learning to become a front-end developer, I had heard so much about React, so instead of learning JavaScript before jumping onto React, I ended up learning React JavaScript before getting to know JavaScript itself. And I think that was because I followed a lot of hype about React and I was really carried away that I didn't start from zero. So my second advice is to always start from zero. Start from the basics before you build, else you're going to be finding yourself in so much struggle. Imagine you're on the like 50 something video like model on your React journey only to find out a term in JavaScript that you don't know. It makes you wonder what you are even doing. So meaning you have to go back to JavaScript and come back to React, and that's like too much work. So always start from zero and build up. Don't be carried away about the latest frameworks, latest libraries. I mean, a lot of languages will keep coming up. Don't be carried away. Just start from zero and build up. I'm pretty sure in someone's mind you are asking yourself videos or textbooks, and I will talk about that later in the video, so make sure you stick to the end. The next point is to always practice what you are learning. This is like a very common thing in learning any technical skill at all. The main striking difference in learning a technical skill is to always practice that skill. So I mean, a lot of people have seen long videos, 5-hour video, 2-hour video, and have probably gone through those videos and still feel empty even after ending those tutorials. And that is because you haven't practiced enough what you have listened from those videos. And being able to practice what you are listening to is actually the main deal in you listening to that video or you watching that video. Practicing here doesn't necessarily mean you should build like a big project. Say you're learning something in JavaScript. I always make references to JavaScript because I find it to be something that a lot of front-end developers like are glued to most of the time. Even if you're not in front-end development, a lot of back-end developers are using JavaScript most of the time. So it's like a language that I know that people can relate to. But if you have no idea about JavaScript, that's absolutely fine. So back to the point, if you're learning something in JavaScript where it's about strings, you can't really build like an entire project on strings or even on data types. There are more like knowledge ideas that you know, like you just know. But the idea is to learn it as a technical skill, and in this case you just knowing that something in quotation marks is a string is just not enough. Put that into practice. Make sure that you are practicing it on your own. So this is another mistake I did when I was learning to program, and it was that I talk about treehouse.com a lot. I'm sure you've probably heard of it if you have stayed on this channel for a while. So Team Treehouse platform is a learning platform where you can go to learn to code. And on that platform, you are presented with an opportunity to have an ID on the platform and you can practice your skills there. One mistake I made was that for all the learning modules that were on the platform that I was studying, I was using their ID to practice my skills. So it was like, after my learning process, I was like, where are all the things that I learned? Like, how do I show for all the things that I said I know? So it was like, everything is stuck with them and there's no way to retrieve them back, because after every module, it kind of like clears it and gives you like a fresh page. So it's always best that when you're practicing any of these skills, do it in your own ID and practice it on your own, like in your own environment and not just on the platform's environment. I feel like I'm talking very fast. Sorry. My next point is to start again. This point is something that I realized when I was preparing for my Microsoft exam, and the idea was to finish and enter like the whole module and start again. And then starting again was more like refreshing my memory on the things that I said I have learned. So if you're learning any technical skill and you have gone past like an entire learning session, starting again is going to be so fast. And if you are sure that you have really learned everything, then you get to like have like a second idea, or you pick up more ideas that you may have missed in your first round. It gives you the opportunity to approach things differently. This is one thing that I've also realized, even professionally in my field of work. Whenever I finish a task, I kind of like sit back and ask myself, like, if I were given enough time, or if I were given a second chance to work on this project again, is there like a different way I would approach this? And the answer is always yes. Like, it always hits me. And this is the idea of you starting again. Whenever you start something again, it's not like you are wasting your time. You're just giving yourself the second chance actually approach the idea differently. This is probably going to be my last point, and this is to say that your project. Nobody can boast of an entire programming language without showing a project for it. That is what a lot of recruiters actually look out for. And I think I should make an interview where I bring on a technical recruiter to like answer most of your questions. So if you have like questions for this person, and I'm really going to be looking out for like the best candidates for this, like even outside my scope of work, to find, I think that's going to be like a good interview for like my audience. But if you want to see that, please comment down with a purple heart to show that like you, and if I get more than 20, I will do it. Yeah, exactly. Project is what you have to show to a recruiter that this is what I've learned within this time period, with this programming language, with these skills, and it kind of validates that you have really learned what you say you have learned. And building projects is actually very, very important. Like, for everybody in tech, whether you are having a computer science degree or not, so building projects is like mandatory for everyone. When you see like a job ad, they will not necessarily say that you should present a project. Definitely it's going to be required of you in your interviewing process. 99% of the time, recruiters are always looking for projects. Like, it's like behind everybody's mind that I need to present a project for it. Like, you don't even need to be told. Like, you should just know that build a project. Like, I mean, I can't even stress this enough, but building projects is like very essential. So it's like all the things that you said you have learned in this from this language, what can you show for it, and then you present it to anyone at all. Even if you're not going to be presenting it to someone, it is just to like give you a good start into learning how things work, how programs are built and everything, which is like a very good start for you. So to the question of textbooks or videos, I would say anyone that's available to you and anyone that you are comfortable with. A lot of people would choose video over textbook because like it's easier, like you are listening to someone, which is like more interactive, more than like a textbook, so it feels like very quiet, a little boring and all that. But if you are okay with reading a textbook to learn a programming language, that's fine. So just go for anything that works for you. For me, when I was coming up, I never did any textbooks because I had like a lot of options, like video options that I could choose from, and hassling to get a textbook to read a programming language was not an option for me. I just went with videos and courses online, so that's it for me. Made it to this point of the video. I am assuming you liked this video so much, so please give me a like on this video and comment down below anything that you want to ask me, and I will answer it immediately as soon as possible. And please do also subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye. Au revoir.